Under pressure. Everything on the RBUD syllabus has been pressure tested. So what that means is there's nothing on it that's theoretical. There's no part of this where we go, now technically when we do this, he should react by doing this and then this should work. No, everything on here someone at some point has used consistently, right? It's the scientific method. Does it work once? Great. We'll make it work 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times with the same results, then we know it works. All of this stuff has. The majority of this was pressure tested because RBUD is very, very much based on the British Combat Association Real Combat System of Self-Defense, which was my first certification under Tony Summers and Matty Evans. Everything has been pressure tested. There's nothing that I've added that is just, oh, well, if that works, then this should. It's all been pressure tested. Your club needs to pressure test. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you get an idea in your head and you go out on a Friday and a Saturday night and you pick a whole bunch of drunks and say, I wonder if this will actually work. Don't do that. What you can do to pressure test, what we do, is I get a handful of people that I trust from the club. We get together in a room somewhere. We'll walk through the technique slowly, picking it apart as we go. Then we'll start to do it a little bit quicker. Then we'll do it with more and more resistance to the point comes where you've got two people doing it, one with the full intent of getting it done, the other with the full intent of stopping it. If it keeps working, then we'll go on it and we'll do it. Anything that comes through that way, I will try with as many different people as I can before I actually put it on the syllabus. I don't want you to have something, you try it for real in real life, and then you come up with the one thing we missed. So, if you've got stuff on the syllabus where you're training that has not been pressure tested by somebody, whether it be in a gym with fully defensive people, where people are totally 100% trying to resist it, or if it hasn't been used for real by people with some consistency, not just one-off, if this doesn't happen, you probably learn the technique for your grading and then forget it. There's a certain technique with a knife block, which is like an X block, and just the first time you see it, you think, yeah, but as soon as you lean in like that, the guy's going to pull the knife back. All he's going to do then is going to slice your forearms open. So if you can see something and immediately go, I can see a problem with that, that's a brief indication. So all things you use should be pressure tested. Once you start to get someone fully resisting the technique, you then need to make it more and more realistic. So you need to have the pre-fight of having somebody come over to you being aggressive and yelling at you. Whilst you're actually doing the technique, they need to be reacting as they would do, and you need to finish it by running away as always. Get the whole thing going. Get the adrenaline flowing through both of you. Because sometimes when adrenaline is hitting you, you cannot feel things. Which brings me on to pressure points. At Reality-Based Urban Defense, we don't teach pressure points. The reason for this is it's very difficult to apply a pressure point to someone who doesn't want you to. If you're someone like a Trevor Roberts who has spent 30 years plus working in the doors and security, who has spent, I think, must be close to 50 years in martial arts and jiu-jitsu and judo and sambo and wrestling. Yeah, he can apply pressure points to people at the drop of the hat. He can do it straight away, probably without looking what he's doing. You're not Trevor Roberts. You haven't spent as much time as he has practicing and learning and actually doing this to bad people who needed it doing to them. So, although he can make it work, we have to look at who we are and who we're teaching. As I've always said, RBUD was put together for people who aren't martial artists. Everything on the syllabus is designed for people who don't want to spend a long time and a lot of money learning stuff. They don't care about going up through gradings. They just want to learn something that they can learn in 15 minutes or so, that they can use quickly and efficiently to get them away. It's people who live in a bad area or they have a job that puts them in front of bad people. So the other thing with pressure points is if you've got the adrenaline going through you, you might not feel them. And I say this because if you stand completely still in a class and everyone's really calm and relaxed and they give me a hand and you push the webbing, well, yeah, that fucking hurts. You've got a thing in the crook of your elbow, yeah, that hurts too. In the shoulder and the neck, behind the ears coming down the neck, it's a horrible thing. But when you've got someone in front of you who you don't know, who's yelling at you and they're telling you they're going to rip your fucking face off, how confident are you that you're going to have the wherewithal and you're going to have the control over your own adrenaline dump to be able to do that, the fine motor movements? It's not going to work. It's going to be the big, scruffy looking stuff that works for us. It's very unlikely that we're going to be able to grab the guy's hand and put the pressure points on. For us, as I say, Trevor Roberts can probably make it happen. He spent 30 years or so working as a bouncer in the Greater Manchester area, in very, very rough places in front of very, very bad people. So I'm very aware of Trevor Roberts. I like the guy quite a bit. I know he can make it work. I also know we're not him. So there's no point in holding him up as saying, well, he can make it work, so we should all do it. Because he's a different breed of person. Right? He's a great martial artist. If you're in the Bolton area, you should go train with him. But he's a different breed when it comes to this type of stuff. He's not you, you're not him. So he can make pressure points work, we can't. The other thing is, let's look at our environment. Where do we live? Britain, especially during the winter, you're going to have a big thick winter coat, thick winter jumper. It's going to be difficult. You won't even know where the crook of the elbow is. It's not going to happen. If you've got the big gloves on, you're not going to be able to find the pressure point properly. There's going to be too much padding and your fingers aren't going to be able to get them properly. Yes, I would imagine people who teach pressure points would say, in that situation, we wouldn't go for those pressure points. But the other thing is, we don't teach RBUD for pain compliance. It's not a security syllabus. It's not, I'm escorting you from the premises or I'm holding you till the police get here. For RBUD purposes, it's knock the bastard out, stamp on his ankle, run away. Pressure points will not be a fight stopper. Pressure points are too much of a fine motor skill. They won't always be effective if the other person is heavily under the influence of their adrenaline dump, because adrenaline can anesthetize you. If the other person is just a psychopath, or if they are on something that they shouldn't be on, if they should be on something and they're not, if they just have a very high tolerance for pain, all this stuff will make pressure points moot. We don't want to waste our time trying to grab the arm and trying to apply our thumb to these pressure points if that tips the guy off. The first thing we need to do is going to be a significant shot to the jaw to drop the bastard. I don't care if he can take a lot of pain. If we've just shaken his brain, his pain tolerance becomes irrelevant because he's going to drop, allowing us a window to run away. So that's why we don't teach pressure points. I'm not against knowing them, because sometimes, again, it's the weddings and christening syllabus. It's not always the done thing to smack someone as hard as you can. And a little bit of nerve holds, pressure points, and pain compliance can have a place. For our purposes of our self-defense being knock them on their ass, stamp the ankle, run away, pressure points don't really fit into it as neatly as they should. That's why we don't do pressure points, because statistically it's not going to be effective and we're not going to be able to make them effective even if they are. Again, don't mean to upset anyone, don't mean to offend anybody, that's just how I see it, and as reality-based air defense is my club, that's what I teach. Everything has been pressure tested. That's how I know when you've got the adrenaline going, pressure points won't really be that effective for people who don't have the time to train them consistently over and over and over and over again. If you're not pressure testing stuff in your club, please stop saying you're a self-defense instructor. Martial art clubs tend not to pressure test techniques. Martial arts, as I put in another video, are about the art. Nothing wrong with that at all. I have studied martial arts that I know for a fact will not be effective in a real fight. That's not why I did them. I did them because I love the art. I love the idea of, I'm not too sure if I'm flexible enough to be able to kick someone in the head. I'm going to dedicate myself to this 3 times a week until I can do it properly. By the time you've done that, you think, oh, I might as well go for the next one. So if you're doing it for the sake of the art, fine, don't let me stop you. I'd never, ever want to talk anybody out of doing that. What I will ask is, why are you learning what you're doing? Why are you constantly going to it? What is the end game? What are you hoping to get out of it? And be very honest with yourself whether or not that club is training for that end. So, I don't mean to offend anybody again. Everything we do is pressure tested. We don't utilize pressure points because they fail under the pressure testing we've done. any questions or comments, whether they be good or bad, please do let me know. Please feel free to like and share this video, and as always, stay vigilant.